Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about Hero of Remnant. So yeah, let us begin. So, we left off the last episode with Ironwood and Jock Schnee currently in the observation I meant over God damn it. Observation room. I meant god fucking damn it. My dyslexic. Anyway, continuing on, as we currently see them watching the feed of the drone looking through the Alps or the tundra. As when they found the meteorite that basically fallen, they would see it created a massive explosion, or at least a massive crater, as several weird looking crystals seems to be coming out of it. These crystals are completely black, like to the point that it almost kind of resembles, gravity crystals. But except, instead of having a much more purplish tint to them, instead it's a pure blood red, as it seems to be seeping out this weird looking, substance, which kind of resembles black water or oil, as it would start spraying out as when a grim nearby basically comes near it, it would somehow disintegrate instantly. As several Grim would try to, go towards that area, they would get disintegrated, almost like a moth to a flame. As after seeing this, one of them would say this, specifically Ironwood. What the hell, he would say, as one of them would say this, specifically, Juskus, or I was about to say Jojo. I meant Jask, or, Jock, as he would say this. Incredible. What the hell is this, he would say. As after saying that, one of the scientists would say this. I'm not exactly sure, but we need to find out what it is exactly, said one of them. As, Jock would say this. It certainly can be interesting, especially with the market wanting to destroy the Grim right now, he would say to himself. As Ironwood would be, just be interested in the item itself, or at least the crystals themselves, because they seem to be quite powerful enough to basically destroy Grims. As after looking at it for a while, he would say this. Alright, Juskus, he would say, as Juskus would say this. What is it, Ironwood, he would say. I want you to try and get that weird material, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, I'm already on it, he would say. Besides, after all, this product can certainly help us in defeating the Grim, he would say, as he would say this, specifically Ironwood. Yes. Now, glory to Atlas, he would say. As after saying that, all of them would agree, saying the same thing, and Juskus would say this. Glory to Atlas. But only the Schnee will win, he would say. He would say, as he would start smiling with a greedy, like a greedy glint in his eyes. And after that, we would time skip. So, a few weeks have gone by ever since they found out about the weird looking crystals that basically appeared and decided to name this specific type of crystal known as decay dust, or just, crimson dust because of its, darker color than, red dust. So, as after, getting enough, people to basically come in and basically try and, get the material, they would start leaving to go to the tundra. We currently see a few people, including a certain white-haired girl that's also part of the mission to make sure that Grims won't, attack them. So before you ask, no, she's not gonna be like, the same age currently, just like in like, the present Ruby story, or at least sort of. Instead, she's gonna be about 13. Yeah, 13. As she's currently going on her first mission to find this, or at least, protect the miners in case of, like, any Grim basically comes by. As we currently see, this woman being that of a woman with, with silver hair, long silver hair to be more exact, and she would also have blue eyes, wearing a somewhat Atlassian uniform, specifically one for rookies. As she's currently looking over some of the, some of the people there, as she would say this. So our mission is to take care of the miners, she would say, as her superior would say this. Well, yes, Winter, he would say. For now, we're just going to be watching over them, and see if anything goes bad, he would say, as she would say this. I see, she would say. As after saying that, they would start leaving to go into the, into the large, bullhead, and also some trucks, and also I guess you'd see some like more winter based vehicles as they would start leaving to go to the tundra to find this weird looking meteor. A few hours have gone by as Winter is currently in the bullhead with the others, as one of their, as one of her, friends would say this. Hey, Winter, you really think that this place is actually going to be quite interesting, you would say? As she would say this. Honestly, I don't care, she would say. As she would start sharpening her sword, as one of them would say this. So, Winter, do you think that this so-called miracle crystal, or perhaps, or whatever it's called, is apparently going to be pretty useful against the Grim? He would say. As she would say this, and why, pray tell, do you know that? She would say, as one of his superiors, specifically, a superior from a different branch than her, would say this. Well, apparently, this crimson dust, as it's called, is apparently pretty toxic to Grim. Not only that, it seems to cause Grim to basically disintegrate when it's been touched, or even make them run away from the sight of it. I don't know what it is, but I heard it came from the meteor from last night, he would say. As she would say this. I meant, not last night, I meant a few weeks ago, he would say. As she would say this. You mean that meteor? The one that supposedly caused the earthquake? She would say, as one of them would say this, specifically a somewhat timid girl, as she would say this. Yeah, or at least that's what I heard, she would say. As when she heard that, she would say this. I see. After saying that, they would start, looking over towards the window, as they would see several Grim basically, like, catching up to them, as she would say this. Well, it seems that there seem to be Grim here, she would say. As after saying that, she would say this. So, man your battle station, she would say. As after saying that, she would get ready her, her semblance, being that of Glyphs. After all, she is a part of the Shni, the Shni bloodline. As after doing so, she would basically jump up into the air as the glyphs would act as like platforms. As she would start shooting off blasts of, I guess you can say ice. So, after shooting off these ice-based attacks, she would start slicing through the Grim with her sword, or saber. So, after killing some of the Grim, she would start getting off the platform and would go back to the ship, or the bullhead. After arriving back, she would say, threats eliminated, she would say. As after saying that, she would, sheath her sword once again, or saber. As after doing so, one of them would say this. Impressive, said one of them, being that of her superior. Basically clapping, after doing so, he would say this. Now, let's continue on our journey, he would say. As after that, they would finally arrive at the site of the meteor. So, when they arrived, they would see, well, no Grim. Like, at all. Almost all of them are just gone. As one of them would say this. It seems that the place has become a literal wasteland. But only for Grim, he would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Really, said, a somewhat skeptical member. As one of the scientists would say this. Yes, it seems that this place is quite... well, look for yourself, he would say. As after looking, they would see the place was completely covered in this dark crystal. These crystals almost resemble dust, gravity dust, but except instead of making it float or any like, gravity, anti-gravity based properties, instead it seems to be leaking out this black substance, almost similar to, to what what Grim are. But except when a Grim basically comes near it, specifically a Death Stalker, the Death Stalker would, run towards it and try to, destroy it, but when it touched the liquid, it would start to disintegrate, turning into nothing more than, well, dust. As everybody would just be in shock, as one of them would say this, specifically one of the more timid members. So, it is true, she would say, as one of them would say this. Indeed. Now, let's get to mining, he would say. As after saying that, they would start leaving to go and start mining this crystal. So, as after doing so, they would get splashed with some of the liquid, which they would be, terrified knowing that they're about to, well, die, or at least get disintegrated. But for some reason, it didn't work. Instead, they don't really feel any side effects, as one of them would say this. Hmm, interesting, said one of the scientists. As one of the miners would say this. God dang, it smells bad, said one of them. As one of them would say this, specifically, well, Winter. As she would say this. As she starts sniffing the air, as she would say this. Yes, it smells like sulfur, she would say. As one of them would say this. Ugh, god damn, this dust smells terrible, he would say. As one of them would say this. Alright, please shut up. Besides, we're gonna be doing humanity a favor, he would say. As after saying that, he would start drilling through the crimson dust, as they now call it. As he would start grabbing some of the crystal. After doing so, well, Winter would decide to, go around the place, or at least around the area, to look through the entire place, just to look at it. So, she would start looking around, basically looking at some of the crystals, seeing that it's completely black. Like, to the point that it's almost similar to obsidian, but instead of being reflective, instead it's just pure darkness. Like, it's completely, nullifies anything. It's almost like it's absorbing the light here. Even the snow that seems to be around the place seems to be turning a bit grayish, she would say to herself. As she would start looking towards, one of the crystals, as she would notice something in it. Is it some sort of sword, she would say to herself, as she would basically touch the crystal. As the crystal would seem to light up a little bit, turning from a dark, blackish color to a red. Instead, it's becoming somewhat clear. As in the ice, or, in the, weird-looking, crystal, she would notice some sort of sword? No, it seems to be some sort of axe sword thing? It seems to be some sort of, axe head right next to the, to the sword. As she would say this. What in the, she would say. As she would start, looking at it, as she would say this. This looks extremely old, or at least by the look of it, she would say to herself. As after looking at it for a while, she would look over and would see another thing. A large block, or at least a large, a large, piece of ice, almost similar to, an iceberg, basically in front of her. Basically looking behind, seeing it, as she would say this. Whoa, she would say. As she would look through it, seeing that it's completely like glass. She would wipe away some of the, snow that's covering it, as she would say, what in the... She would look inside it, and would see a person? She would be surprised, as she would say, wait, why is a person here, she would say. As she would, just be surprised in general, as she would say, I need to tell my superiors, she would say. No, don't worry, I'll save you, she would say. As after saying that, she would run towards her superiors. So, after that, we would move back to, her basically explaining the whole situation. As one of them would say this. So you saw some baby in the eyes, he would say. As she would say this. Yes, I saw it with my own two eyes, she would say. As he would say this. I'll be the judge of that. Guys, let's go, he would say. As after saying that, they would start leaving. As most of the other, people there were mostly the miners and also some, Atlas hunters. As after a while basically walking through the snow, he would say, see? Told ya. It's nothing more than a... But before he would look over towards the iceberg thing, as he would say, one tarnation, he would say. As after saying that, he would look over and would see a baby. A baby with black and the black that slowly fades into a white, the colored hair, and also with several streaks of green. Trapped in the ice. Naked. As one of them would say this. The hell is this? He would say. As, Winter would say this. The hell if I know, she would say. And after that, they would basically be stopped. As after that, we would basically end off the episode right there. So yeah. So, bye-bye.